Thank you, guys. Not sure why very few people joined today. So, an important class. Okay, fine. Maybe they'll join slowly. Right. So, yesterday we discussed about dynamic authentication as well as dynamic authorization at a high level. But I want to teach again. Okay. Then I'll take it up all your questions. Then we'll proceed further on execution part. This is for today's agenda. I hope everyone is clear, right? So I'll repeat whatever I discussed so far in the yesterday's class. I'm going to repeat again. Okay. And on top of that, if you have any questions, I'll take it up. Then we'll see the code of the execution part. This is what agenda for today. So the main concept of dynamic authentication, dynamic authorization is typically we are going to store the user details and the role details in the database side. In the database, we are going to save outside of Spring Boot. For that, what we are going to do that framework is giving some predefined interfaces like user details object, where our customized object, which is created by the Spring Boot, where developer need to populate the values. And this is managed by the user detail service, which is having load user by username method. That is the next point. Second, where it is having enable global method level security, where we can enable the security at a method level. Password encoder as well as password decoder. We need to encrypt the password as well as decrypt the password based on our own cryptography system. And one predefined rule is we need to send role underscore plus role name to the user details object for the simple granted authority property. This is the introduction part of our example. Okay. So where we created users.java. Okay. This is my entity class, which is having user ID, email, password, last name, and one too many with roles. One user is having multiple roles. So our user table, role table, and user to role table. So that is a typical user to role table where we need to have that. After that, we are going to have role table, the role ID as well as role name, and which is having user underscore role, which is having typical data. Okay. Now user repository, our DAO layer, which is find by name. It's a derived query where you need to have that feature. Okay. So, and we are going to discuss this in our security configuration.java, where we have taken our custom user detail service, where we have taken our custom user detail service, which is user detail service, because we need to override the method, right? That particular interface I have taken here, and we added to the authentication manager builder. We added this to the authentication manager builder, like our user detail service is whatever the customized user detail service we had. Okay. And we are going to have password encoder, which is typically going to take care of our own password encoder. I mean, whatever the code we are writing, the password encoder, which I'm writing here. Okay. So let me go to the user detail service, which is nothing but this is our user detail service, where load you by username, which is I'm implementing the user detail service. Okay. This is what I'm implementing the user detail service, which is load user by username method. Why we need to override this particular method is developer only knows this particular concept, where we need to override this and we need to provide the data to the framework, which is equal to optional of users, which is equal to db user of data, right? So we are getting the DB user data, which is available in the database side. Now our intention was we need to move the data which is available in the user details object, I mean DB user data to the user details object. So for that, what I have done here, I have taken a Java class which extends my database class and implements user details interface. Because what is that code which is going to do that? Whatever the username entered on the user ID text box is equal to user details dot user ID. Whatever the password which is entered is equal to user details dot password. And whatever the role which is expected, which is a user custom user details dot role. So that's why we are going to take the data which is equal to custom user details I'm taking here, which is taking the data from users table and implementing the user details object. So where what I'm doing here, I'm giving the data to this particular constructor, okay, and I'm giving the data here. So for that, whatever when we ask username, our database object name, when framework is asking users details dot get username is equal to database object dot get name. When user details dot password is equal to database object dot password, okay, and where are other properties also available, which is equal to is account is expired or not, is my credentials are expired or not, my account is locked or not, as well as my account is active or not. All these things I'm going to set it with a true value, just like I'm telling that these are the true values, okay. And we need to tell the roles also, because it is having one too many. One user will have multiple roles, okay. For that, typical code where we need to write is list of simple granted authority is equal to new array list. To this particular array list, we need to add simple granted authority is equal to roll underscore plus role name, and we need to give this data. But rather than that, Java 8 and streams and map, I can use the same thing here where get roles. This is object is going to the database and gets the data, where we are going to have, assuming that in my database it is having these rules, okay. One by one it is going to iterate admin, iterate guest, iterate manager, iterate security. Stream is going to the stream API which will internally iterate and call the map method, okay. In map, what code we need to write? This is the code we need to write every loop, right? So simple grant authority is equal to new simple grant authority, which is collected, and once everything is over it is going to give a list object. So this is where we are giving the data to the framework. This class is usually useful for getting the data from database class and giving the data to the framework here, which is what I have used here, db user data dot map, which is typically my custom user details class. I'm going to give you that. There are four approaches are there. This is one of the approach where we can give the data. So this is what yesterday I have explained here. Okay. So now it's a question and option given to you guys. Do you have any further questions before I proceed further on the next part of the explanation? And I'll take it up all the questions, guys. As of now, anyone, any questions? Is everyone is clear or anything you want looking any kind of questions or anything, guys? I've shared the code. I've explained twice. As of now, anyone, anything? Guys, can someone tell me if you are good or not, or anyone, please, if you don't mind?
Yes, we are good.
Okay. Thank you, Vivek. Okay. As of now, I hope everyone is comfortable. Then we are going to see the next part of the things is till now I have explained authentication manager builder dot. This is what I explained till now. Where my password encoder. This is the part where I want to give here. Okay. So whenever I take a password encoder, this is what the predefined implementation for password encoder. Okay. This is what predefined implementation for password encoder. What is that it is going to do is nothing but it is having two methods, encode method as well as matches method. This is a prototype. Encode method as well as matches method, it is going to do that. Okay. So whenever we want to encode, right? So you need to write the implementation here. Basically, framework is going to automatically call this encode. Whenever you are saving the data to the database, you need to encode the data, right? Encoding means what logic you are going to write in encoding the data. What logic you are going to write here in encoding the data, where we need to have that. Okay. And whenever you give comparison, whatever the character sequence encoding string, is it matching yes or no? So where I am taking care of here, this is the prototype. In this code, in this example, I don't want to complex you guys. In this example, I don't want to complex anything here. Okay. Because I'm simply returning the same string and simply returning true value. But in the next example, because I don't want to teach all the complexities in one example, I don't want to teach all the complexities in one example. So encoding part, I'm going to explain in the next example. Encoding part, I'm going to explain in the next example. As of now, I'm ignoring here, simply returning the same string and simply returning the true value. I'm not doing any complexity here. Okay. So that is where here I'm going to tell that this is the data which is having user ID and password and the rules. This is the data which is having user ID as well as password and the rules, and which is encoding the password, which is typically taking care of authentication manager builder, where it is sitting this, right? After that, we have HTTP security. What is our intention, guys? Our intention was mainly I have a controller with three methods. Okay. I have a controller with three methods. First method, no security at all. It should not prompt for any security. Okay. It should not prompt for any security at all. How I can protect that? Some keyword I need to write. If secured keyword is there in the URL, it should be protected. If secured is not there, it should not take that filter. It should not take at all that action. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here, I'm telling that CSRF disable, and any kind of request, if you want to authorize any kind of requests, by default, it should have secured keyword. Anti-matcher says the URL should have secured keyword. Then only that should be authenticated using basic authentication, that should be authorized. If the URL doesn't contain any secured keyword, then it will not be authenticated. Okay. So URL level, I'm protecting something like, if at all, if any secured keyword is there, then it will be authenticated as well as it is authorized. If the URL does not contain any secured keyword, it will be simply, this filter will not take it all, and it will directly goes to the direct controller. Security filter will ignore that request. So that is what our intention. How I am achieving here? One API, first controller, first API, no security, no authentication, no authorization. Now I'm skipping. I don't want to keep any security keyword here. So how I can achieve here? Let me go to my controller class here. This is my controller class where I have three methods. First method, everyone can access. Second method, only admin can access. third method, both admin can guest can access. So how I am doing here? Rest slash hello slash all. No secured keyword here. But whereas here, rest slash hello slash secured slash control. Here rest slash hello slash secured keyword is there here. So these two will be authenticated as well as authorized, whereas this is not authenticated at all. So rest slash hello slash all by default, no authentication, no authorization. But whereas this is called as enable global method level security. At the rate of pre-authorize has any role. This is the notation. At the rate of pre-authorize by default has any role. In that, 1 second, guys. 1 second, 1 second, please. 1 second. Yes. By default, so by default, it is going to at the rate of pre-authorize where has any role of admin role. If it is having admin role, then only this method will be executed. Has any role, what it does is it will remove role underscore keyword from the role. It is going to remove the role underscore keyword at the rate of pre-authorize. Authorize first before executing. If it is having admin role, then only execute this. If it is having guest role or admin role, then execute this. This is the enable global method level security. This is called as enable global method level security. So whenever you hit this particular URL, for example, I'm hitting this. What happens here? Whenever I hit this URL, first of all, which one loaded? Security configuration will be loaded, right? It will check. Is secured keyword is there in the URL? No. So that no authentication, no authorization, directly this will be executed. Because I'm not protecting this API under HTTP security. Assuming that whenever I hit this method, secured slash control, what happens here? Security configuration. Oh, secured keyword is there. It should be authenticated. It should be authorized. But I don't know the role, right? For that, it will give HTTP basic, where it will prompt the pop-up or username or password, where we enter the username and password. When we click on submit button, what happens here? It will call this method. Load user by username will be called. So that it will get my data, my username, my password, and my roles. Everything will be given here. Okay. Then I'm going to map, I'm going to give the data to the framework object. I'm going to give this complete things to the framework object. How it is giving the framework object? I'm going to map my roles, my user ID, my password, and all those details are given to the framework. Then it is validating and it is taking the account. Okay. Then framework is going to compare its admin role, then it's given. If it's a guest role, this will be given. Like that, it is going to take. Okay. But load user by username will be called only once whenever per session, because on the session it is activated and it will be called only once, which is taking care of that. This is the overall execution perspective. End-to-end execution perspective I have explained here. Maybe
Secured keyword is your custom name only, no?
what is that actually?
This secured
Yeah,
keyword.
it's your choice. Anything, just like I mentioned, it's your choice. But whatever the word you use it, right, sir, here, you need to make sure that your get mapping or request mapping, right? That word should be there here. Anything you can take, but only that keyword should be there.
Okay.
There one question. User ID password we need to save first in the database, no?
Yes, I'm going to do that only. That is
Uh,
what I'm going to do. That's why I opened the user ID password. Okay. In this example, I'm manually inserting the user ID password, sir. Okay. But I will automate. In upcoming example, I'm going to automate. Yes. So where I'm going to insert the data here. Root security is my database. So here I have a user table. I have a role table. I have underscore user underscore role table. User table, role table, user underscore role table. So roles are admin role is one, guest role is two. So I'm going to insert data here. Insert into, first me enter the data here. Okay. So now what I'll do, guys, I will run the code and later I will insert the data. That is what dynamic authentication, right, guys? Dynamic means I'm adding my user ID, password, everything after that is what dynamic, right? Just I want to showcase that. I'm running the code here. Then I will insert the data because it's a runtime. It's a dynamic things. Okay. So which is equal to run as Spring Boot app. Meanwhile, insert into root security dot user values of 61 comma active is one. Maybe what I'm going to do is let me take two users. I'm using Teja at gmail.com, comma Teja is a username, Teja is a password, and Teja is the things. Username, first name, and password. First user I'm creating with Teja. Another user I'm creating with Asha. ASHA, 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 right? Two users I'm creating. Teja as well as Asha. I'm creating two users. Okay. I'm keeping the plain password only. In the database, as of now, I'm keeping the plain password only, but later we'll have it encrypted. Next one is 61 is Teja. I'll keep Teja as an admin role and I'll keep Asha as a guest role. I'm going to keep. So let me delete here. Delete from, it is deleted. Insert into root security dot user underscore role values of 61 is Teja, right? 61 comma 1 admin, right? 62 comma 2 guest. Asha is okay. I have not done anything here. Just I prepared. My application is started. Then I am inserting the roles. So now Teja is admin role. Asha is a guest role. Correct? Yes or no? Now what I'm going to do that? Let me go to the first URL. This should not ask me any authentication, right? So what I'm going to do that is, it is not asking me any user ID password. Localhost 8080 rest slash hello slash all. It's not asking me any specific user ID as well as password. Okay, correct, right? Now let me take it the next thing. First one, it's not asked, right? Next one is localhost 8080 rest slash hello slash secure slash control. So it is asking me a pop-up, right? Now let me clear the console, guys. I'm clearing the console. It's asking me a pop-up where I am giving Teja is the username, Teja is the password. When I click sign in, it will call this one, right? It will call the database call, right? You'll print a database statement, right? Yes or no? So I'll open the console. It's a secured page. Only admin can view this. Now you see here, a query is triggered, username, and a query is triggered with the role. Am I right? And if the same API I'm calling with a incognito window, same API I'm calling. Now again I'm clearing the screen. I'm in console. Let me give Asha, right? It is telling that forbidden error. Sir, what is the forbidden means? No access, right? Forbidden means no access. You don't have an access. That's the forbidden things, right? Now, but query is triggered right here. Again, query is triggered and it came to know that guest role. And when you are accessing here, only admin role has an access. Only admin role has an access. No others cannot have any access. Am I right, guys? For example, the same user secured slash control slash. What I'm going to do that? I'm going to give you this one. Okay. So which is equal to Asha, Asha. So which is typically giving. Okay. I'm typically giving here. Now you see here it's a secured page. Both admin can guest view this. Both admin as well as guest. Correct, right? Now it queried a call and it saw that guest role and I mentioned guest role here. That's why I was able to call. So this is how we tested with admin role. This is how we tested with guest role. Whenever secured role, whenever guest role is accessed, you got a forbidden error here. You got a forbidden error here where we pass a guest role. You intentionally got a forbidden error where it is going to take you, right? As of now, clear, guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Everyone is clear?
Yes.
Now, can I do one thing here? I'll flip the rules. Now my application is up. Okay, sir, my application is up. Can I flip the roles? I will make Teja as a guest, Asha as admin. Can I do that? So 62 1, 61 2. Correct, right? So delete from first delete the data here. I'm not stopping my application, guys. As of now, I'm not stopping my application at all. 62 1, 61 2. So select star from only one thing is that 61 2 is not clear. Yes. By default, I'm going to have these two roles. Right? Now I'll try again, guys. This is my every time you need to test an incognito window. Okay. Every time you need to test an incognito window, secured slash control. Now I'll try with Teja. Teja is a now previously is admin role. So Teja previously admin role. Now when I try this, now forbidden error, right? Teja is having a forbidden error, right? Am I right, guys? Because I changed Teja to guest role. Now, for example, the same URL, if I try with Asha, now Asha is having admin role. It's a secured page. Only admin can view this. Okay, it's a secured page. Only admin can view this. Now the other URL, guys, all. Okay, the other URL is typically all. Now Teja can access this. Now Teja can access this. Yes, Teja can access this. So it's a secured page. Both admin as well as guest can view this. So where I changed it, now you agree, right? This is a dynamic authentication as well as dynamic authorization typically. So I created the users at runtime. I changed the roles at runtime as well as I moved the roles and everything. So this is the typical example of dynamic authentication as well as the dynamic authorization. It's a typical example of dynamic authentication as well as dynamic authorization. So as of now, anyone, any questions, guys?
I didn't get that encoding method. Can you explain once
Okay,
more?
sure, definitely, sir, definitely. Okay, because I didn't write anything, sir. In encoding method, as of now, I didn't write anything. Okay, in next example, we are going to write. But what I am explaining here, this is a password encoder is a framework interface where it is having two methods, encode method, matches method. Whenever you want to encode, framework will call password encoder.encode method. Whenever it is comparing, password encoder.matches. These two things will be internally, right? Password encoder.encode, password encoder.matches. So what I'm writing in this example, I'm not doing anything, simply converting the string. I'm not doing anything here. and matches method simply returning true. In the next example, because I don't want to add all the complexity in one example, right? What complexity I added here? What complexity added here? Custom user detail service, load user by username, and giving the data, taking the database data, giving to framework object. Everything is, this is the complex. In the next example, I will add a real code of password encoder. Okay. As of now, I'm explaining a basic prototype where you need to add here how you want to encode. You need to write here how you want to compare. That is a code you need to write whenever you use your own crypto system. But as of now, I'm not writing anything here, simply placeholder. Instead of using noob keyword, it is internally taking care. Is that clear, sir? Maybe?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, any other?
What is the use of incognito?
Incognito, every time it generates a new session ID. J session ID is there, right, sir? By default?
Okay.
By default, because once it's logged in on the browser, right? Single sign on, right? In this browser always takes that user only. But I want to test with the different things, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So by default, I'm going to use incognito window for testing. So every time it generates a new session ID.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So any questions, guys, so far? Anyone? Okay.
Sir, after application is running only in the database, you have inserted the data
Correct.
in the
Yes.
rows table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because that's
So-
what I want to explain, dynamic authentication, right? What do you mean by dynamic authentication? I can add the users. I can insert the users even my application is running.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, are you able to hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sir, concept-wise, everything is clear. I just want to one quick check. Want to ask on one simple question, that is,
Please.
so in this whole this thing, right? There is a portion where we're gonna be get the details, user password and role details, and map it to user details object, right?
Correct.
So that particular one, can you just show me once that particular
Sure.
that particular method?
By default, here you are calling this database data. Okay. You're calling this method. You will get database data. This is DB user data. You're going to get this database data. Then one second, guys. One second, please. One second, guys. Guys, I'm sorry. So this is the data which is coming from database, and I'm telling that map this database data to this particular custom user details. What is this custom user details? It will take the database data and implements my framework data. So whenever it's asking user details dot user ID, what happens here? it is giving my database username. Whenever it's asking user details dot get password, it is giving my database password, so that it will compare the user ID and password and it will check and it will do that. That clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when we fetch that just based on the username, so it will fetch all three aspects: username, password,
Correct.
and role.
Yes, that's what we wrote, right?
Yeah.
We wrote username, password, and roles. And also, if you maintain these, also you can get it. But here I'm not
Yeah.
maintaining this, and completely roles. One too many roles are there, right? It is going to take care. Yeah. Anyone? Okay,
Sir,
guys. Everyone is,
sir,
yeah.
sir, will you explain the simple granted authority?
Simple granted authority is a property in user details object. Okay. Maybe I explained right already. Where in user details object, we have a property called as simple granted authority, which is telling the role. For example, I have a order class where we have a payment is a property, right? In the similar way, user details is a class which is having simple granted authority. What is the significance is all our roles are containing in this property. It is going to have all the roles in the format of role underscore plus role name. It is having a property called as role underscore plus role name. Role underscore should be a prefix that is a security standard. Spring Boot is asking me to do that. That's why I'm doing that. Clear? Someone who asked me, is that clear, guys? I don't know who is asked actually. Is a clear simple grant authority? Someone who asked, is a clear? Sir, I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Prasad. I didn't saw your name. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Any other things, guys? So you can execute the code and you can take, and if you have any questions also, I'll take it up. And a lot of emails I got, I mean, couple of emails I got it. So day after tomorrow is a Christmas. Okay. So, and it's a night or 9 o'clock. Little bit of people are requesting me for not having a class because it's in security class. And if something misses, it will be important to everyone. Maybe I'm not going to take class tomorrow. Just a request, I mean, because everyone in the Sunday it's have a Christmas festival in the night. You may have a celebrations. Okay. Tomorrow only for tomorrow, no classes, and I'll compensate this maybe in during next week. Okay. Sir, someone is can unmute or whatever.
Sure, sir. That would be great.
Prasad, can you go on unmute if you don't have a question? Or you want to ask a question, okay? So I got a couple of emails today for not don't have a class. That's what they're requesting. Okay. So I'm not going to have any class for tomorrow because of Christmas celebrations. And I'm going to take on Monday because Monday will be Christmas will be over and everything will be over. Okay. So, and I'll compensate tomorrow class in some other next week based on the availability. So the next topic which I want to discuss is complex one. Some more complex one. On top of this, some extra parameters will be there. Maybe what are the extra parameters will be here? In this example, I have not encrypted the password. I kept the database password in a plain text. In database, I insert the plain text only, right? Teja, I insert plain text only, right? Now in the next example, I'm going to take care of in the database itself, I'll encrypt it or I'll encode it. Okay. In the database itself, I'll do that. So that is the first point I will take care. That time I will tell you how to encode and decode. Now Method level authorization. I wrote it which layer, guys? Method level authorization at controller layer, right? Pre-authorized method. Method level authorization at controller layer, I explained, right? Now, if I want to write at service layer, how to do that? Why to write service layer? What is the purpose of service layer? I'll explain. And here I only written a string in this example, right? I only written a string, but in real time, no one will return a string, right? Create, update, delete operation by admin role, only retrieve operation by guest role. I'll take one scenario. If admin role only can create the data, admin role only can update the data, admin role only can delete the data. Whereas guest role, it's only retrieves the data. Then we are going to store the encrypted password in the database. And also we are going to discuss unit testing via REST template. And if I want to throw some custom exception, we call that as a realm. Realm is the keyword in security world. Any authentication exception or any authentication exception, by default, it is going to take a custom exception, which is called as a realm, which is a security keyword, which is having a custom exception. All these are the topics which are part of my next example. So next example is mainly whatever till now we covered plus extra things. Whatever till now we covered in this example plus these extra things. So this example is a very, very critical example. We have all the things. Whatever till now I explained, you practice that, you'll get an idea. And plus encryption, real things I'm going to explain. How to encrypt the password, I'm going to explain. How to store the database encrypted password, I'm going to explain. And unit testing is also I'm going to explain. Okay, fine. This is what I'm going to explain in the Monday class. Okay, I sincerely request everyone a advanced happy Christmas, everyone. And also there is a severe negative symptoms are coming to India again. Just now we are thinking that somehow COVID was gone and we are in a better way, but somehow still pandemic situation may come or may not come. I sincerely request everyone, okay, please take all the necessary precautions, kindly celebrate in a good weather, and make sure that you and your family members, everyone is safe, and better to use all the necessary precautions. That's an important point. Okay, fine. I wish you a happy Christmas to everyone, and we are going to see on Monday. Thanks everyone for today. Have a great day. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas to you also.
Thank you everyone.